So we're gonna show you everything now. So make sure you watch the video, like, subscribe, all of it. Okay, so at the end of this tutorial, you're gonna be asking, what are you gonna learn? Because we're doing a lot of stuff here. So at the end of this tutorial, see all these endpoints, we've made them. You can log in as you did previously. Like I have a user here, the email and the password. So these things we did it in Node.js. At the end of the tutorial, we're gonna use this token you see here. This is the success message, and down here you can see a token. We're gonna use this token for both authorization and authentication to check if the user is an admin or a normal user, or if the user is logged in or logged out. So I'm gonna show you how to use tokens in this video. And this is another route here. This is a get or post route. You can see the token here. This is a user token. So if I send a request, it's going to tell me invalid token. Try again because we used the wrong token. So it's going to use that. I'm going to show you how to check if a token is valid or if a token is invalid. So you're going to do that. I'm going to send again. This is a correct token now. And you're going to see that it's going to retrieve and return all the posts down to the user. So you see, because you see the post success, you can see there we have the images we uploaded, and a rare list of images, one with the file name and another one with the file name here. So you see that the other images here, the other post here, you can see another post with category of food. So I'm going to show you how to check if the token is valid, and if the token is valid, we can actually get all the posts down from the database. So that is it here. There's an array list of posts down here. So because the user's token is valid, and for upload post, even here to upload a post, we're gonna check if the user is an admin or if the token is valid. So if the user is not an admin, you're not gonna be able to upload a post because only admin can upload a post in this tutorial. So I'm gonna show you how to use a token to check if a user is an admin. You're gonna upload a post. You're gonna see how to upload images. So everything is a step-by-step tutorial in this series, so make sure you're watching carefully to understand how it works. So I'm going to log in a user here right now. Let me just log in another user. So I'm going to log in another user right now, and you can see this user is not an admin, it's just a normal user. So I'm going to copy the token. You can see the admin here is false. So I'm going to copy the token here of this user that is not an admin. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to upload post. I'm gonna paste the token in here. So you're gonna see the response we're gonna get now when we try to upload a post as a normal user. It's gonna tell us, let me send it. It's gonna tell us here only admin can upload posts to this route. You see that? So you have to be an admin to be able to upload posts. So I'm gonna show you how I achieve this feature. And let me change the user back. Let me log in an admin here. So this user I wanna log in to know it's an admin. So if I send it and get a request here, I'm gonna copy the token again, and you're gonna see that it's gonna upload a post because the user is an admin. So before it was telling us only admins, but now this is an admin token here. So it's gonna upload a post here down to the database. So everything's gonna be step by step. We're gonna see how to upload images, send post requests, get all posts, query the MongoDB database, and also lastly in the next video we're gonna connect a Flutter app to this project. So I advise you to watch carefully and understand how everything works. Thank you. Subscribe, like the video, share all of that. So in the index.js here, what you see, we have the middleware. All these middlewares, what they do is that when you trigger an endpoint, and if it has this API.auth in it, it's going to take us to the auth API controller. So let me just make this place neat. Let me arrange it well for you guys to see. So we did this in the previous videos, so I just want to make it neat now. So we're going to have two middlewares here. One is going to take us to the API controller, and one is going to take us to the post controller. So you see the API stroke post, we're going to have here. So when we go to this route of post, it's going to take us to the post controller. But you know, when we go to the route of auth, it's going to take us to the authentication controller. You get that? So we did this in the previous video too. You can go back. We did not watch that. But before then, we still need to import, like we did for the API controller. For the auth controller, we need to import for the post controller. So the post controller is going to be imported here too by using the require keyword, and then we pass in the path. You know, before we use another JavaScript class of file in Node.js, we have to import it, or else you ain't gonna use that file. So I'm just importing it now, the post controller. Okay, so now we've imported it. So inside the post controller now, I have a route here. Inside the post controller, I just went back there. I created a route, just a simple route that when triggered inside the post controller is going to send us a string here. So this string is just going to tell us that this is the post route. So this is just the first route in this post controller. It's going to be the first route here. So remember, this is a post controller class that is triggered only when we go to the post route. So down here, I'm just writing here my npm start, and I'm waiting for my node to come up so I will test this. So while waiting for the node to come up, remember we all do is npm start. So when we trigger the post route, it takes us to the post controller. And when we trigger the authentication route, it takes us to the authentication controller. So the post controller, when triggered, for instance, if you just trigger it, it comes to tell us this is the post route. Okay, now so the node just started now. I ran this node by just in the directory of the folder. I just typed the npm start, and you saw that that's how the node came up. So I'm now waiting for the MongoDB to connect. Okay, so it's the RestApi port connected now. It's connected to port 9000. That's wonderful. That's cool. Port 9000 is what we use in here. Now let's wait for it to connect to the MongoDB. Actually taking longer than I expected. Okay. The telling us here there's an error connecting to the MongoDB. You can see here it's a MongoDB server select error. That means even if we go trigger the localhost 9000 here, okay, it's actually working. This is my first. Let's go to the post route. Okay, this is the post route, so it's actually working now. That's nothing to do with MongoDB, it's just a localhost here. So you see here, this route works when we trigger the post route. I'm going to create a new folder. Now this folder is going to be a model, going to tell us how is our post going to look like. You know, we're going to be sending posts of articles or posts of, to the database. We have to describe how would this post look like. You understand? So that's what the model class does. We did it for the user, we're going to do it for the post as well. So remember, a model for the post is going to help us describe how the post is going to look like. You're going to see how we're going to create a post model for our route right now. So in here, inside the post, under the model folder, we created a post.js file. This is the file that's going to describe how the post is going to look like. The post is going to contain a title, it's going to contain a description, it's going to contain images, categories, the post belong to, the tags, this describes it all. So in order to create a model in the MongoDB, we have to import the mongoose. We're going to use that. So I'm importing the mongoose now, you see here. So the mongoose have been imported. That's quite wonderful. That's the first thing to do, import your mongoose. Don't forget that. You just have to import it. So the next thing to do is create a post schema. So we're going to call this constant. A post schema is going to be equal to new. We're going to use the mongoose. I'm going to copy this from the previous schema we did. Let me just copy it so I won't type too much and go back. Okay. So the post schema is equal to the new mongoose.schema. And in here, for the post, we're going to use the title. Alright, we're going to describe the type. It's going to be of type. Okay, so the type here is going to be a string. So the title is going to be a string. That's wonderful. And then required here is true. A title is required. You cannot send up a post without putting the title is necessary.
you must put a title. So it's required true, or else it's going to be false if it's not required. By default, I think it's false. Next, we have the description. The description here is of type string. Required definitely is going to be true. Yeah, because a post would have a description is required. But by default, it's going to have a default description, meaning that even if you don't put the description in there, even if you don't put it, it will have a description by default telling you no description. That's a default description. But I think it's not so it works that way. And then the next thing we're gonna have inside the post schema is the image. So these are the images. We're gonna upload images because a post is gonna have pictures. So the pictures will be of type, an array. It could be an array of different 150 pictures. So I just created an array of an object that's gonna contain the file name. The name of the picture is gonna be a file name of type string. That's great. Alright, so I hope you get that. You're getting what I mean. You're getting what I mean here. Okay, let's just arrange this. Okay, so we have the images. It's going to be an array of an object of file name type string. It's an array of actually objects here. That's how the image is going to look like. So apart from this, there are going to be other things, but I'll show you here. Let's use the categories. Categories is going to be what category does your post belong to. So I'm thinking of an array too. Going to be of type array of string. It can be a category. The post can be of type of for politics, it can be for business, it can be for fashion, it can be for cars, automobiles, it can be for men, category women, category mobile phones, categories laptops. So you're going to put type array required is true, but I'm going to use a default category, meaning that even if you don't put a category, it will by default have default categories it belongs to, even though required. The next thing down here, you're going to put the timestamp so that each time you upload a picture, you're going to see the time will appear. I'll show you how that works, but you see the time created out, updated out, deleted out, the time the post was created. That's why I'm putting that timestamp down here. So we have the description, we get the image, we got the category, and then we also got the post ID. Yeah, and post ID, I just did that for type string and required. So the next thing is we have to export it. Without exporting it, we cannot use it in any other file. Remember, we're going to use this in another file called the post controller.js. That file is going to help us upload the post. So we're going to export this so that we can use this post schema in other classes while creating posts, updating posts, deleting posts. We have to export so that we use this post schema to do all of those. I'm going to show you how to do that. But you have to export it. So we're going to say post the bongos.model. It's going to go to the post. You see, the model here is going to have a post. It's going to take into inputs there the post schema, and you're going to see I passed in a string post and post schema. So the post there is the category the table is going to belong to, more like the column, the table where all our posts will be going to. So all our posts are going to go to the post table. Then we're going to export it down. So I'm going to say model dot export is going to equal to the post. So that is it now. So now we've created a post schema. This is very necessary because we're going to use it a lot. We're going to use it throughout this video. We're going to be using the schema to upload, to delete, to create, to query. We're going to use it to do a lot of things. So it's going to be amazing. All right. So we are back again to the post controller. So first of all, the first thing is the post controller. We're going to import that post schema we just created because this post controller is going to deal a lot with that schema. So we're going to import it. So to import it, we go down to the directory we created the schema, and that was inside the models, I guess. Yes, the models, definitely. So we're going to import it from the models. Okay, we're going to import it for the models, remember that. So we imported the post schema. This is the post schema here. So this is where we're going to use it. Remember, we imported it here from the model.post. We imported it, so meaning that we can now use the model in this class. So that is amazing. All right. So what's the next thing to do? So for most of it all, we're gonna get all posts. There's gonna be a route for that. That's what I wanna do now. So we can get all posts. So remember to import all this router, all these things are necessary, the buy create, the express, because without all of this, we cannot do anything in real life. They're all libraries. I showed you how I did that. I downloaded and installed in Node.js. So now, when I create a route that will handle getting all the posts. So to get a post, we're going to create a route, and we're calling this route post. Oh yeah, let's call it post. Or should we give it a name? I don't think so. So whenever we trigger this route, it takes us to the post controller. This post controller automatically gives us this is a post route as the response. That is when you trigger that. So what I am thinking here is that to get all posts, we shouldn't give it any name. It should just be, let me just copy that. To get all posts, we just have to call this route here, then to return to us all the posts from the database. That works perfectly. Yeah, that works perfectly. So in here, we're going to put a try catch here. Just trying to catch any error we come encounter with. So while you're trying to get all your posts from this route, there could be an error. So we're going to send a response to the user, telling the user there was an error while you triggered the route. There was an error. So we're going to say raise the status at 500. .json to be a message here. To the message, you're gonna tell us error retrieving or error retrieving post. Okay. Let me open this terminal and let's run this and see what happens. Let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so I just run the npm start. As you can see it down here, you see the npm start, and the node mon is coming up, so we just have to wait. And later on in this video, we're going to be using Heroku. I used ngrok previously, but in this course, I'll show you how to host your APIs on Heroku server. So that will be later on in this video. We're going to host our APIs before we communicate using the Flutter app. But for now, let's just finish up with the route and all of that before I teach you how to use Heroku. Actually, straightforward. It's coming up. Actually, Node mon takes a little time sometimes. Not really my fault, it does. So when the normal comes up, we're gonna test this in the browser. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so connected to MongoDB, I think it finally worked. Alright, so now we can proceed. Alright, so let me close, yeah. I'll be using Postman later on. You know what Postman is. Postman is actually an IDE for testing endpoints, REST API endpoint. But for now, let's use the browser, basically, because we are not doing anything complicated yet. Alright, so actually for now, this is my first route. Let me use this tab. This is my first route, okay? So we're going to go now to the post route, my index.js. We are going to this post route here. So I'm gonna copy it out. I'm gonna copy it out here, copying it out, copying it out. That. Oh no, I didn't cut it. Okay. So I'm pasting it in here and I'm gonna trigger this. Cannot get API post. Okay, so that's what it's showing to us that I cannot get API post. Sorry, wrong IDE. Okay, Postman is up, but we're not using that now. Close the browser, close all of this. It's showing us cannot get API post. I wonder why, but I'm gonna resolve that. Let's try again. Alright, then let's put the route APIs. Cannot get API posts. Cannot get API posts. Alright, so we're coming back here again. So in this middleware, what we're gonna do is, let's see, slash does not still work with slash. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is, let's go to post controller. Okay, see, we didn't return any response. Oh yeah, so you have to create a response here first of all. So inside the try block here, inside the post controller route, we have to create a response. Without that, I don't think there's any response that will go to the end user. So the 200 status.200 JSON, we're going to return a JSON, and the JSON is going to be an object that contains a message. So the message here is going to be like, oh no, it's going to be post route triggered. Okay, that's great. So let's see now. Oh, sorry, I think I did not save my work. You have to save your work, could be one thing. Alright, so, okay. So remember, okay, we did that. Everything is set now. I'm going back. This endpoint should work. Let me comment out this first line and then allow only these two. So I commented out this first line, the first middleware up here. I allowed only the two for the out and for the post. So comment out the first line here. Let's just use these two routes middleware here. Alright, so let's go. And we have to import this. I think everything is correct so far. Everything we did is correct. We imported the post controller and everything is correct. And then when triggered, it comes to this route and then that should work. Then this route triggered. Okay, let's just go back and go to the post controller. I just have to confirm I'm right here. Let's go back here. Okay, I think it worked now. It actually worked now. So, oh, sorry, I did something wrong. 9000 slash API slash post. Okay, so I see post route triggered. So it actually worked now. Okay, so I just have to return my response inside the try block. Then I also have to return another response inside the catch block in case there is any error at all. So that's still cool. So we need to create another route, or be to upload a post. That's the next thing we do. We need to create another route to help us upload a post. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. And my postman is not coming up. I hope you guys all have postman because we're going to use that later on in this video. It's a very powerful tool. Postman enables you to test your endpoint and REST APIs to make. Okay, so now the next route is going to be a post. It's going to be a post route because if you want to upload a post, you're sending information to the database. So in order to send information to the database, you have to send a post request. And when you are retrieving information from the database, you use a GET request. So you should basically know the difference between a post request and a GET request. So for this route here, we are using the post route, a post request. So this endpoint is going to send a post request, and we're calling this endpoint the upload post endpoint. So the upload post is going to have a request and a response. Okay, that is it for upload posts. Just put the route here and put the function request and response here. But there's a red line here. I think I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong here. Could it be the way I called my function here? Let me remove this and then I'm gonna put it down here. Okay, so that works now. This is the upload post route. It's gonna help us upload a post. I'm gonna show you how to upload images. I think I've done that before in my previous video, but I'm still gonna show you again in this video. So watch carefully. Okay, so this is to help us upload. So I'm gonna put it still inside the try catch block. And inside the server, I think I made a mistake previously. Inside the catch, you have to put the error here. Yeah, you have to do that. I did not do that in my previous try catch block, so I'll have to go correct it. You put an error here so that in case you want to see the error message. Okay, so instead you're going to say the res.json. It's going to return to us a message here. It's going to tell us error uploading post. So it's going to tell us there's an error uploading a post. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, that's a bad response to see, but you might get to see it if there's actually an error, which nobody would pray for. Okay, so inside the try here, we're gonna first of all we're gonna send a JSON. If it goes successfully, we're gonna send a JSON with a message here telling the user successfully uploaded post. Okay, that's wonderful there. And finally, the GET request to test this logic here. Using a get request because we're not using post mode. I don't think you cannot send a post request on your browser. It's not possible to do that. You can only do a get request. So for now, let's just do a get request on the browser to just test my logic inside this route. So let's go to the change it to the upload post. Upload post route. Cannot get upload post. Wow, this is not what I expected actually, but there is something. Let's try this again. API stroke post dot upload post. It should work now. Okay, yeah. So it tells us successfully uploaded post. Okay, I think I used the wrong spelling of the route there. So that's a get because normally it should be a post request. Normally, if you're actually communicating with the database, which of course we are not doing now, we're gonna do that later. So it's a get request, and down here we're gonna upload a post. So we're gonna send a post request here to the database. Okay, so I think we've been successful so far. Yeah, we have been successful so far. So we worked with all these now in the upload post route now. So right inside the upload post route here, we're going to create a constant. This is going to be a post. It's going to be a post, so we're going to create a constant that takes a post, and then remember we imported the post. I told you we're going to use this post in the post controller a lot because we're going to be dealing with the post schema. So we have to import it. So we imported it, and now we're using it here to upload a post. So to upload a post, you have to do this. I'm going to show you now. This right now. This is how you upload a post to the database. This is how it is done. So first of all, you have to create the post object, and then pass in your inputs to the object. Then it goes. I'll show you how to save it in the database right now. So watch carefully. So you need to make the function asynchronous. You need to make the function asynchronous here because we're going to use the await keyword in order to save the post in the database. Basically, everything takes some seconds because it doesn't happen immediately. It's a network tag, so network could be slow, network could be fast, it might delay, it might be, you have to use the await keyword. So the function must be asynchronous. So inside the post, you go to the model. Inside the models now, let's go see the post schema. So the post schema here has a title, it has a description. So we're going to say the title first of all. The title first of all is going to be equal to the request as whatever we're getting from the user. So we're going to say the request.body, whatever we are getting from the user. So request.body.title. So that's what we're going to get. That's how to get the input from the user there. And next thing is the description. You see, we have a title, the post schema, we have the description. So we're going to use that next. We're going to input the description here. Alright, that's cool. The description is going to be gotten from the user input. So we're going to say request.body. We're going to say the request.body.description. So this is how we get the user inputs right now. Okay, so what is next here? So to upload a post, initially it's going to be a post request, but remember we are testing on the browser. So let's just do something we could use on the browser because the user cannot put any input currently on the browser for now. So we're going to just put a dummy string as in here first of all for testing purposes. So the post has a title. This is post title. It has a description telling us that this is post description. Then that is it for now. For now, this is not gotten from the user. I'm just putting a default input. Assuming, let's just assume that's what the user put for now. So in order to save this post object in the database, all we have to do is call the post.save. So this comes along with MongoDB. Once you call the save, it actually saves the object in the database. That is it. So this object now is now saved in the database. So the object now is saved in the database, and the response is going to be successfully uploaded post. And then we're also going to give the response, we're going to give it a body. So this is up to you. You might call it anything, but I'm calling it body. So for that, I am passing the post object in here. Alright, so I've just passed the post object in there. For now, let's just change this post to a get request up here, because we're going to use the browser, not Postman. So we just want to test this logic for now. We just want to test it on the browser for now, to be sure we're correct, to be sure we're on the right track. Okay. So here's a post schema. We have the description, title, we have the images, and then category here is true. Even the category is required. So by default, we're going to give it a default array of categories. So for every post, if you do not give your post a category, by default it's going to have these categories here. So every post on a database is going to belong to either the politics, or is going to belong to fashion. So every post now is going to have these two tags, because it's an array. So by default, these are the two tags every post is going to have. So even if you give it a tag or not, it's going to have these tags by default. So we can give a default here. So now let's test this. We're going to test what we've done so far. We're going to upload a new post and save it in the MongoDB database. So let's see how it goes. So localhost 9000 /API/post, gonna go, okay, post route triggered. Then we say /post/upload post, error uploading post. Okay, you see now it's telling us there is an error uploading post. Why is there an error? Let's figure that out now. Let's figure that out. There is an error uploading a post in this route. Let's find out why. As I try to trigger it again, and it's still telling me the same thing. It's still telling me the same thing in the error uploading post. That's an error. I don't know what is causing it. I don't know what is causing it, but inside the try catch block, it's returning this response in a catch block. So this is where the response is coming from, error uploading post. Let's figure out why. To figure out why that is happening, let's print out the error out so that we can see the error we are having. So I'm going to attach the error in the catch block. I'm going to attach it to this string here. So this string is going to have the error attached to it. Okay. So in here we're going to say plus ERR. Right, ERR is the error from here. To the error from here, we are passing it down here so that we can see what the error is. So this way we can see the error coming out from this, and we can know how to tackle it. So should we? Let's go see the error right now. Everything seems okay, so let's open the browser now and trigger the endpoint again. Okay, so you see the error came out. Error uploading post validation error. The post ID is required. Oh, because we made a parameter required there. So in the post schema, going down or up or down, you see here the post ID is required true, meaning that we must input it, but we did not. We did not even use the title and the description. So true and error telling us this is required. So let's give it a default value in case we do not use it or in case we do not put anything to it. So the default value here is going to be 1. So let's see this work. Alright, let's go. Okay, so let's go again. And successfully uploaded post. So you can see the post have been uploaded, successfully uploaded post, the body, the description, this is post, everything works by default. He has a category and the post ID is 1. Okay, so it works here, everything works. So we have to move further from here. Let's proceed to see what's next now. So we have to use this request to collect or retrieve the data from the user. For now, we're just using giving it the default data. So normally we should use the request there. I'm going to use that with Postman so you see how we pass in input to the endpoint. So the next thing is time to use Postman. So if you don't have your Postman installed, install the Postman IDE on your laptop because it is necessary at this point. So now we're going to be using Postman, and this is when we're going to start the real deal here. Okay, so for now it's a local host because we're going to be working on a local host. We're going to host it on local. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to copy this link down to the Postman. I'm going to copy it down here rather than typing. I don't want to type much. So I'll just copy it and paste it in here. And then I'm sending a request now. And you're going to see the response will come out here exactly like the browser. So Postman is an IDE that basically helps you test your RestApi endpoint before you use it or consume it on your mobile apps. So this is actually a GET request, which is wrong. We are uploading a post, so it is supposed to be a post request. So I'm going to change this from a GET request. I'm going to change it down back to a post request because we're sending information to the database. Whenever you want to send an information to the database, you have to use a post request. And whenever you want to get an information from the database, you have to use a GET request. But we're sending an information, so uploading a post, we're going to use a post request. Alright, so that is it now. So in the IDE, we're going to change from GET. We're going to change it from a GET request. We're also going to change it here to a post. So it's going to be a route.post. That's the right thing to do then. Alright, so it works fine that way. So we're now sending an post request to this endpoint, and that's it. So when you're sending a post request, we're going to get the user input. The user is going to input the title, is going to input the description. Currently, we're using just a dummy input, right? So let's get the user input. To get the user input, we're going to use the request.body, the request.body.title. So that way we retrieve the title from the body. Then also we need to retrieve, let me show you in the Postman how that looks like. This is the body here. So in the body, we're going to use a raw. And in the raw, we're going to use a JSON. Okay, so the JSON is going to be of this format here. So this is the body now. The body is going to have a title. And the body is going to have a title. For now, the title is going to be politics in the world. And then the body is going to be a description that describes what the title is all about. But we're just going to use a dummy input. Not really dummy. I'm just going to type something here. This is description. This is the description. Or this is the headline. Okay. So this is the body now that we are sending down to the endpoint as. Okay, so we're sending it with a title, we're sending it with a description. So inside here, we're going to retrieve the title, and then we are also going to retrieve the description. So the request that body We are gonna retrieve the description from this body. So we're sending a request that body dot description, normal title description. Let's just copy this. This is what we want to retrieve. So we're gonna use the key description here. So this is where we retrieve the description from the body. Okay. So now we got the user input. It works fine. I think we have to test it and see how it goes. So we're gonna test it now. All right. So my node just restarted. All right. So can I clear this? Let me find a way to get this off here. I think I can't. I don't know how I can't do that. I can't get this response out. Alright, so basically we could just go ahead and press the send button. Okay, so I'm gonna send the request now, and you see automatically it saves it in the database with the new title and with the new description. So all these are the other fields, but basically we just said the description now is this is the headline, and then the default category that we had in the schema, the default post ID we had, and now we have the title there. So this is the output of the JSON. That is, it returns to us the post object. You see, it had a lot of fields here. Those fields were from the schema. You know, the post ID had a default of 1 and all of that. But we can say the post ID is going to be unique. Do you know why? There's what we call the unique keyword. The unique keyword actually tells you, okay, we're going to have 2 posts with the same post ID value. So another post is going to have a post ID of 2 when we already have 2 with the post ID, it doesn't repeat. We don't want any post with the same ID. So we have to set the unique property here to be true. So this means that the post ID is unique. It's not the same. We cannot have 2 posts with the same post ID. That's why we use the unique keyword here. All right. So the post ID is unique. All right. So we have the title here. We get the description from a user. We can get more things from the user. So let's say we can change this now and say fashion in the world, and then we change this to this is the headline. This is the fashion headline. So we're gonna send a post request, and then you see it works again. So you see the title, this is the fashion in the world, the title changes, and then this is a new post created now. Okay, that's cool. So we see currently the endpoint for uploading post is working. It sends us back a JSON. It goes to the database and it works fine. The post ID is still 1, and then when we send again, it tells us error. Uploading posts, mongoose call, said one before. Okay, I think my MongoDB is still trying to connect. If your MongoDB is still trying to connect, it's gonna throw that error. Okay. The MongoDB is still trying to connect. So let's send again. It works now because my MongoDB connected. Okay, so the upload post is working perfectly. We're gonna use that endpoint in a mobile app. So the unique property here is true. The default is 1, and for the post ID, inside the post controller, we actually created a post right now with a title and description. But we also want to get a post ID. Let's just say, for instance, it's 2. But let's just give it a default value of 2 here. We can get other fields. We can create our own fields here. We can create our own values.
Either we get it from the user or either we just put it by default. So if I send the request now again, you see the post ID just changed to 2 down here. That is because we are no more using the default value. Again, we're no more using the default value. So that is it. It actually updates to 2. So you see, it's actually working. The endpoint is working. The endpoint is working. And this is the database now. And in the database, you can see the post table. We have a lot of posts here. You can see this fashion in the world, the post we just made, and other posts we've made. They're all here. You see, this is wonderful. So this is the MongoDB database. So the post, when we upload a post, it comes here. So you see, it's actually saving up in the database. So everything works fine. You can delete a post from here as well. So let me just delete all these posts and try upload new ones right now. So I'm gonna delete all these posts and then I'm gonna upload new ones for you to see. Let me just leave one of it. So I've deleted all the other posts. We only have one post in the database. So now let's try creating a new post again. So hope you understand all we're doing. It's quite simple. All we're doing is getting the user input, sending a post request to the database, and all of that. So currently we have just one item in the database. So we're going to upload more items using that endpoint, and you're going to see that for yourself. We just have one item here. That's just this with the ID. So you see, each post we update comes with an ID by default. So MongoDB automatically generates an ID for us. So there is no need for the post ID field we made. So we're trying to create a new post now, and this is technology in the world, and by saying this is technology headline. Okay. So we say error uploading post ID is required. Oh, it's required. I thought I put a default value there. Post ID required is true, and post ID required is true. Let's put a default value because in case we do not insert it, it automatically takes the default. Okay. Then the title is going to be unique. Remember, I told you something about being unique. If I make the title unique, no, let me not make it unique. Okay, so let's go back to Postman. Let's run it again. Technology in the world. It works now. So you see the post ID, it takes the default value, which is 1. So that is how we use the default value, and then the post comes here. You see the post here works. So there is no need for the ID because number 1, MongoDB automatically generates a default ID for us. So if I refresh this and then you come here, you see this, that we have 2 posts now in the database. We have 2 posts now in the database, which is the one we just created. Now let's delete it again. Let's delete it. Okay, let's create it another one again, I think. So we create a same, we're going to create it, we just deleted it and created it again, you see. So the ID is still generated. MongoDB generates an ID for us. And if I come here and refresh, you're going to see the post is going to appear in here. You're going to see the post again. So you see the post comes back. This is technology headline. It comes with the title, image array, and then all of that category. When you have 2 by default and we have no images. So
The next thing we're going to do is how to insert categories so that you see that, but I'll show you how to do that. So that is it, it works. So the upload post endpoint works perfectly. So the upload post endpoint works perfectly. So the array by default, the category by default is an array. We're gonna deal with the category right now. So the category is an array. We're gonna, apart from the default category we gave to it, politics and fashion, we can also decide to give it our own array. We can decide to create, input the own custom array of categories here. So let's just start with that by typing category. So for every post, we want to get the categories from the user. So we're going to say we're going to get the categories for the user. So a user now can create a post and say, okay, this my post is going to belong to the category fashion. This my post is going to belong to the category gadgets. So we're going to get that category from the user right now by using the request.body.categories. Okay. So this is gonna get an array of categories the post belong to from the user. So let me show you that. Now we are trying to get the categories. We have the title, we have the description. Let's get the category. Let me change this auto index right now to make auto index true here. You know, when you're connected to MongoDB, sometimes it is advisable you make your auto index true. Let me go to the documentation and show you why you need to make it true. In the documentation here, what I saw was if you wouldn't have, no, let me go down here. Okay, so I was saying Mongo unique is not working because basically I created a post with two posts with the same ID, and normally I made a post ID unique, meaning that the posts were not supposed to go through because they had the same ID. So in order to prevent, that means my unique property in the schema isn't working. So in order to make your unique property work in the schema, you have to use the auto index, set it to true. So which means to check for uniqueness, MongoDB will do that. And simply we have to use the auto index here in order for MongoDB to enable uniqueness of posts. So no two posts can have the same ID if that field has a unique property in it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So you see, we're gonna use this, set it to true, and your auto index is gonna be true here. So I did that, and also use create index is gonna be true. Okay, so what I meant now, my unique property for my model can now work. So if I'm using a unique property, for instance, let's say the title, I want my title to be unique. I don't want any other post to have the same title. For every post, there should be a different title. So my unique property is true, which means, okay, let me comment it down. No title should. No title should be the same. Okay, that's what I want you to understand now. No title should be the same because I use my unique property and I set the auto index to true. Okay, so now I actually deleted all the posts in my database, so my database is currently empty. You will not see anything. Oh, is there something? Okay, there is something. It's empty except the post. I don't know if I deleted the post. Okay, I only have two posts here. I'm gonna delete the whole table. I want to delete everything and start afresh now so that you see what I mean by the uniqueness of posts. Okay, so my database is empty and the title is unique. So let's go ahead and try upload a post, technology in the world right now. So if I send this, it's gonna work, right? The title is now technology in the world. Yeah, and if I send it again, it still works, which obviously it should not work because I'm using the same title, technology in the world. So I wonder why it's allowing me to send a post when the title are the same. Every post should have a different title and it should throw an error. It should throw an error when a post have the same title with another post in the database. That is what I'm trying to achieve here. So the post here, the title is actually unique, meaning that no post should have the same title. But actually, I just did something and this worked. It shouldn't work because already, if I refresh the database, you're gonna see that there are two posts with the same title, which I'm trying to avoid. This is my post here. The two posts, technology in the world, technology in the world. You see, this should not be happening because the title is unique. So let's try this again. It still goes. So if I refresh, I have three of it, which is wrong because the three titles are the same. I want all my posts to have a different title. And the three are the same, technology in the world. So this should not be happening because the title are the same. I want my post to have a unique title. So my uniqueness is not working. Let's remove this use create index. Let's remove it from here. And then let's use auto index alone and see what happens. Let's use just auto index. Okay. So let's run this again. It still works. Okay, let's delete everything in the database and try it again. I feel this should work now. Let's clear the database and try. I want my title to be unique. Okay, so let's go. My auto index is true. Let's try run this again. Okay, it works. And the second time, it works, which is wrong. I'm trying to sort out something. Okay, let's save our work. Let's save it. Let's save the work and try one more time. My title should be unique, which is true. Let's delete everything from the database if we can, because let's delete the database again. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. I don't want a post to have the same title. I don't want two posts to have the same title. Let me just refresh everything. Let's save the work. And then the uniqueness is true, okay? And the auto index is true. The post controller, the title is gotten from the user input, the body, and the uniqueness is true. The title uniqueness means no two posts should have the same title. Okay, this is still loading. All right, so now let's run this. Let's go to Postman and try again. So in Postman, I'm gonna send a post. Okay, so it works now. I see error. uploading MongoDB error, duplicate key error, F table, index, title. You see, now it works now. I don't know why it didn't work before. So I send again, it's going to throw the error, meaning that there's a post with that title. So that means that we have to change the title in order to make it to upload a post now. We have to use another title. See, it works now. You see, it works now. And if we try again, it will tell us, no, there's a post with that title. Please change the title. It's going to tell us that. So you see, it works that no two posts can have the same title. I don't know why it did not work before, but right now it worked perfectly. So right now it worked perfectly. So now no two posts can have the same title. That is what I was trying to achieve by using the unique and setting the auto index here to true. The auto index here is true. Okay. My browser is still loading. So take note of this. Your auto index must be true in order to enable the unique property in a MongoDB schema. Okay, so what is next now? Let me just save this. It's in the post controller now. We have the title, we have the description, we have the categories. Okay, so now what we want to do is try to get these categories from the user input. So in that case, I'm gonna come here and just type categories. So in here, I'm gonna put an array of category this post is gonna belong to. So this post is gonna belong to the politics, gonna belong to it's gonna belong to fashion. This post is gonna belong to social. Okay, so it's gonna belong to 3 categories, right? So I'm gonna change the title. Remember, the title is unique, so we don't use the same title twice. So in that case, now we can send. It's actually taking longer. Allow node to restart. Okay, I just saved my work. Okay, I think my internet connection went out. So let me connect to my internet one more time. Okay, so now we can try again. Let's try again. I think my internet was the problem. I had a wrong internet connection. Sometimes internet can actually affect the connection to the MongoDB if you don't have a strong internet connection. So my internet disconnected now. Let me just restart everything now. Let's go. Okay, so it's connected now to MongoDB. Let's try this again. Alright, so it works. But the only thing I'm saying is that the categories do not get to update. When you have politics and fashion here, when you have politics and fashion, but in here category we have politics, we have fashion, and we have the social. So you see the social is not showing in here. That should be because of, let me check. The categories we have are just politics and fashion, which are the defaults we put. But the last one we did, oh, I see, because we're using the wrong categories. Oh, let me just use the categories. Let it be. Let's leave it like that. Categories. So I'm going to leave it like that and then copy it and then change this here to categories. It has to be the same keyword. All right, now this should work. Let's change the title. Okay, so now let's go. Let's click the send button. So the send, okay, now it works. So you see it updates now. I think because we use the wrong spelling of the keyword there. Okay, so you see that it updates, and down here we have the politics, we have the fashion, and we have the social as well. So everything works perfectly. Yeah. So now we can get the title, we can get the description, we can get the categories of the post. The next thing we're going to deal with is the images. How do we upload images to this post? Okay, we're going to look at that soon enough. So I think everything works perfectly now. Let's try add another business to the category. Let's go. So okay, you see it works down here, and down here we have politics, we have fashion, we have social, we have business. So you see the categories are working perfectly. We can add categories to our post. That's what we've achieved here. So you can now see we can get the title, we can get the description, we can get the categories from the user now, and then we send the response to the user. So what's next here is the image. We have to create an array list of file objects. So there's the images now we need to work on. So images. Okay, so remember, okay, now that's it. So now going back to our controller. We should create another route that handles something different. Just like in the API controller, there's some similar things we're gonna use, like we use in the API controller here. So for authentication, for image, remember we use the crypto. These are the libraries we use to upload our images. Crypto, we use the gridfs storage, and we also use the gridfs stream, and we also use Malta and some other stuff like we used. So similar to the post controller, we're gonna make use of all of these to upload our images. You understand that? So we're gonna upload images too. We made use of the grid as well. So all these things we use in the API controller in the previous video, we're gonna make use of it in the post controller as well. So in the post controller, we also have all those same libraries here. I imported them before time because I knew I was gonna use them. So you can see we have the crypto, we have an all of Malta and all that. So now I'm gonna tell you the steps to take when you wanna upload an image so that you get used to it and you understand what I wanna do right now. I'll tell you the steps I'm gonna use to upload the image. So first of all, you have to make sure that you establish a connection to the MongoDB before you actually upload an image. So that is why we have this connection.js file here. We actually exported the function. So we can actually call this function when we want to establish a connection to the MongoDB. So right now in the post controller, we are going to establish a connection before we start uploading our images. And before we start even calling the route, we make sure there's a connection to the MongoDB. So I'm going to make use of this class still in the post controller. The connection class is going to be made use of it here. So up here, going up, I'm going to import the connection class. This class, remember I told you, helps us establish a connection with MongoDB. So, okay, I think I already have it up here. I think I already imported it up here, so there's no need. So all we have to do is just establish the connection. We connect to MongoDB. I already have it here. So let's actually import this class. I created this class in the previous video. If you did not watch the previous video, you can go back and watch it. So now let's make use of this class. Now to establish a connection, we have to just call the imported class here, which is connection, dot then. We're gonna use the then callback here, and then so after the connection is established, we're gonna do some stuff. So that is it. All right. So then connection, then let me make it asynchronous because it's gonna be asynchronous. Back here. All right. So pasting it inside here so that after the connection, without gets triggered in a way. So that is it. So now we have a connection and everything seems set. The next thing is let me move it up here. I'm gonna write down some steps I'm gonna take to do something because we are uploading images. We're gonna make use of a lot of things. So because we are uploading images, we're gonna make use of okay, let me do this. Let me write the steps I'm gonna take to upload the image. So these are the steps you take when you wanna upload an image. First of all, you open a connection. You have to open a connection if you're uploading an image. You open a connection first of all, and then the next thing to do is open a connection with Mongo URL. You're gonna use a Mongo URL. The Mongo URL is actually in the .env file. We're gonna export it to. Then after opening a connection, we're gonna create a collection that's a destination folder for our images. So we're gonna create a destination folder. So open a connection with Mongo URL. We're gonna create a folder where the images will be stored. So where do you want to store your images? We're gonna create a folder. Then we're gonna that's a storage as well. We're gonna create a storage bucket. Then we are gonna insert storage info inside a Malta. So these are the steps we're gonna take. Let me put it up here. So these are the steps we're gonna take to actually upload our images to the database of the MongoDB. So steps to upload images. So let's get the Mongo URL first of all, which is necessary because we have to open a connection. So to open a connection, we need a Mongo URL and we need the .env as well. So because the Mongo URL is in the .env file. So I'm gonna say .env.config here. So now that way we can now set the Mongo URL is process.env, and we're going to go to the env file and we're gonna go get the Mongo URL from there. Okay, we just have to copy the call it the keyword or whatever. We just copy the Mongo URL, the variable name we give to it. So we just copy it and we paste it here. Okay. So open the connection with Mongo URL and that is it. We need the Mongo URL first. So now how do we open the connection? In order to open the connection, we just have to come up like a variable as well. So const connection, we can set a Mongo. We're gonna use what we imported there, the mongoose, and then we're gonna call this connection. Okay, that's it. So we call the create connection here, and then as well we have to pass in the Mongo URL. So that's it now. So we pass in the Mongo URL inside here. So from there we can now say once the connection is established, so once the connection is open, all we have to do is let me show you. Once the connection is open, okay, all we have to do is create the folder where we want to store the images. So once that happens, only once the connection is open, we can now create a collection folder. So that is it now. So now we have opened. Now time to create a collection folder with that. So in order to create that folder, all we need to do is first of all get the grid fs, and as the grid fs storage is what we're gonna work with. Initially it's gonna be null. There's a variable there for it, null. Then in here the grid fs storage is equal to
grid dot. Okay, so now the grid is equal to grid, then this is what we're gonna use. Is equal to mongo's dot mongo. Then we pass in the connection dot db as well. Then this is where we create the collection. So the collection here is gonna be called the uploads. So we're gonna call the way we're gonna store the images. We're gonna call it the uploads folder. That's where we're gonna store it. All right. So that is the upload, and that is it. So we're just gonna console log, and then we're gonna test this. So once the connection is open and once the collections, the folder have been created, we're gonna see a log out as connection open. This is gonna tell us that okay, the connection has been opened, and we can go ahead. Let's just, I think we should test this to see it work. Just gonna have to test this, and then we're gonna see it work. Okay, so in here we're gonna select the storage. The next thing to do is, remember I said we're gonna create a storage to a storage object as well. So once we open the connection, we've done all of that, create the collection folder, and you're sure everything is set, we're gonna create a storage object as well. So this storage object will enable us to get the file, pass it down to the database, pass it to the Malta. So the next step to do is create a storage. So this is how we're gonna do it. So I created a variable up there, as you can see. Let me post one. Let me see who's gonna test. Yeah. Let me just run this for now on the terminal. So let me see what comes out of it. I'm gonna use bash here for now. So we're gonna say the npm start. I just wanna be sure this connection is opening. You get what I mean? Okay. So on Postman, I'm going to, let me just try trigger route and see if what we did will work. So testing connection is the name of this. I'm gonna call this. Let's just check. Okay. So the node one is still coming up. Let's give it some time. Alright, so it has been connected here. Alright, so you see right in there, open connection open for post controller. So that is to show us that what we did worked. So even if you run this now, it's still gonna upload the post, and at the same time it's telling us connection open for post controller. So now let's go ahead and create our storage. We're gonna go ahead and create the storage object. So take note how we're gonna do this now. Okay, so for the storage, all we have to do is we created a variable up there. You can see it above the connection. So now all we have to do is call this gridfs storage and then work with it. I hope you imported it as well. So now for the storage now, we just, let me paste some things here because the name is long, I can't type it. So the new gridfs storage now gonna take in an object, and then inside this object we're gonna pass in a URI, and this URI is gonna take in the Mongo URL. That is it up there. You see the Mongo URL, we just have to pass it in here as the URL. Then the next thing is gonna be a file parameter. So
So in here, I'm gonna pass in a file, small letters. It's gonna be a function here, a callback function. It's gonna take in a resolve and a reject parameter. It's gonna be a callback function that will take in a request, and then at the same time, it's gonna return a file to you. So it returns a file. So then in here, we're gonna use the crypto. It's gonna just return a promise. So in here, it's gonna return a promise, and then the promise is gonna return a resolve or a reject based on the output. If it's an error, it's gonna reject. If it's actually not an error, it's gonna resolve it and then return a file object for you. So we're gonna see passing the resolve and the reject. Yeah. Okay. So if there's an error, reject the file, or you resolve the file in a way. I think this part is quite a little bit complicated, but you can get to understand it. So the next step here, I think I'm gonna use a crypto. I imported the crypto up here. So this crypto, I'm gonna use it, and then I'm gonna create some random byte, kind of like 16, random 16 byte away. So look at the random byte here. Then there's an error, and then there's a buffer. So these two things are necessary. We're gonna use it. So we're just creating a storage object that generates the file for us. So if there's an error, we're gonna show a response to the user, telling the user, okay, there was an error while we were trying to resolve or generate a file for you. We're gonna send a response to the user. So we just rejected this error. So after just reject it, really, just return it. You just reject. Okay. So what if there is no error? If there is no error, what are we gonna do? If there is no error, we then try to generate a file name. So how do we get this file name is what you would be asking. So to generate a file name, we're gonna make use of a lot of crypto stuff here, the buffer, and you see the buffer here. We're gonna make use of the buffer, and we're gonna make use of the file. So for the buffer, first of all, to string hexadecimal, and we're gonna append to it the path. We're gonna use this path here to generate a file as well. So we're gonna say path dot exact name. So the name will be gotten from the file here. So we're gonna say the file dot original name. Okay, so that's it here. So now we have the file name. Okay. So now we have the file name. There's something else we need to do. We're going to generate a file info. So this file info, I'm going to say the file name. We're going to pass in here the file name as well. But I prefer I use a capital letter to identify the difference between these two. So I'll just change this to a capital letter. Okay. Then all we have to do in here is pass in a bucket. So the bucket here is going to be the name of the collection upload we created here. The name of the folder we storing the images. We did that when we opened the connection. So it has to be the exact same name we used initially when we opened the connection. So I think that should be it for creating the storage object. We need to still resolve this. I forgot. So let's resolve it. So say resolve, and then we pass in the file info. Okay. So this is it. So now we have successfully created the storage object for the post controller, which enables us to actually would enable us to upload image. Okay, so now we created the storage and we did all of that now. So what we have to do is make sure that this is being used as a middleware on the upload post route. That's how we're gonna now upload the images. So we're gonna pass it in here as a middleware, and then we're gonna say it's gonna take an array of images. It could take 150, but we're gonna use 50 as maximum for now. Let's just say 50 images is what you can upload in a single post. So that's it, because it's taking an array of images here. So now we can upload posts using our route. We can upload posts, and that's just it. That's just how we do it. So simple, stress-free, and not really complicated. Not really complicated. Okay. So now we can upload posts. How do we get files? I'll show you that later. But how do we get the files to, let me show you now. So to get the files, we're going to declare a variable and call it array. So this array is going to contain an array list of files. So we're going to get it from the request body to request.files. So now we have all the files attached to the route. So getting all files from the route or from the request body. Okay, so now we have all the files coming in from the requests, from the user side of the endpoint. So now we have all the files. We have to pass it down to the database. How do we pass all these files to the database? I'm going to show you how we do that. So in the post schema, you see here, inside images, we have a list of objects containing a file name of type a string. You see that's just a file name. So a list of objects containing file name of type string. So we're going to create that now. Image inside a post, we have a list of objects. It's going to be like object. Let me just give you a dummy sample here. It's going to be like this. No, it's not going to be like this really. It's going to be a list of objects. So we're going to get it from this array of files. As you check it here, it's a list of objects inside this schema. So let's just make it look like exactly how it's going to be. So it's going to be like this. Okay, then we're going to have file name. Then we're going to have the name of the file. File 1. Then we're going to have another object.
file name, then we're gonna have file 2. Alright, so you see we have an array list of 2 objects containing a file name mostly. This is gonna be, so we're gonna upload get all the images attached to the route. And when we get all the images attached to the route, we send it to the post body. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that now. This is an array of files that we want to upload. So the next thing now is to, let's just create a console log here. And then with this console log, we're going to pass in the array. So let me just see how it looks like. Let's just see how the array looks like. So to string here, so you all see it yourself and you know how the array looks like, so you won't be confused. Okay. So I'm going to go to Postman and work this out. So that way, let's go and check it out in Postman. So now in Postman, we're going to use a form data now instead of a form body. We're going to use a form data now. Do you know why we use a form data? Is because we are dealing with images. So we're not going to be using a raw, so it's not going to work. It's not going to work because we're uploading images. So we have to use a form data. So a form data is what is going to work in this case. So whenever you're uploading images to the database, make sure you use the form data. Don't use the body raw type. So in here, the form data we're going to use put the title and all of that here. So use the form data when you're uploading images and use the body when you're not just passing a row, normal JSON. So for this case, we're uploading images. So we have to use the form data here of Postman. So in here we have the description and the key for the next one. We're gonna have a file. We're copying this. Take note of this. We're copying images here from the middleware in here. We're gonna make use of this to get the to upload the images. You have to make use of the exact same name you have up here in the middleware. And then we have these images, obviously, inside this middleware. So we're gonna copy this name. I'm gonna paste it here. And then we're going to select multiple images to upload. Okay. I said okay. Yeah, just choose one image. I don't have multiple images in my laptop, but I'll find a way. Let's upload. I know where I have my images. I'm gonna go get them out now. Okay, so let's get rid of this and let's choose multiple images. But first of all, let me delete this side here. So now we're going to use multiple images here. Let me go to where I have my images. And then I'm going to copy these. I'm going to select these. I'm going to select this. Okay, so now we've selected multiple images and here we have 4 images selected. So let's try to upload this so that we see how it looks like in the console. Okay, so it actually uploaded and now we have success. So down here you see we have images with the default array list we passed into it. When we go back, you're gonna see these are the inside the terminal.
we actually have the object of the images we uploaded down here in the terminal. You can see an array list of objects. So those are the images, they're coming in object format. So we have like 5 images. Okay, but let's try to make it more of like see what is inside this object. You get, so you want to see what's inside this object. Let's change this up here. Okay, so we're gonna send another request. It's taking long to upload because of the images and so. Okay, so now if we go back, it still shows us the objects. I thought I changed this up here. Okay, so we're gonna say JSON.stringify. Let's stringify the array. Okay, so now we want to stringify the array list so that we see every single details of the object inside it. Okay. So if I send the request again, so let's send another request. It's probably taking longer. Okay, so it's successfully uploaded, and then down here we have the image. But now coming here, you see it returns to us every single details of the file name, the author, who told them to post it. So it actually returns every single thing. That's what it does. That's what the stringify does. It makes an array list of objects. It makes an object a string. So now this is it. So these are the details we want to upload to the MongoDB database. These are the details we want to upload to the MongoDB database. So I'm running Node again. So next we're gonna loop through this array. We're gonna use a for loop to loop through this array. We're gonna get each individual file, and then we're gonna create an object and push it down to the posts we want to save in the database. So let's loop through this array to get each file name. So for var I equal to 0, I is less than array dot length, then I plus plus. Okay, so now we have a for loop, and we're going to loop through these files to get each individual file, then we're going to pass it down to the post object. So for var, we're going to get an item. So the item will be an array, the current position, which is I. Okay. So now if item is not equal to undefined, that is, if it is not null, if it is not empty, we can go ahead with the for loop. So let URL be equal to item dot file name. Okay, so now we have a default array, an empty array up there. So we have an empty array. So we're going to push everything, all the file name inside the array, all the file objects inside the array. So now I'm going to say array.push. I'm going to say file name. I'm going to push the object URL. Okay. So now we're going to push only the file name out of the object. I'm going to push it to the array. So whenever you trigger upload post, it goes to this router, it uploads images. You can actually upload the images in there, and then it comes down here, get all the files from the user, create an array, loop through the files, and then pushes the file name to an empty array. Pushes the file name of all the files to an empty array. Okay. So coming down here, we're going to change this. We're going to delete this, and we're just going to pass in the array. So we're going to say array URLs. That's all we need to do. So in here now, we've passed in the list of files with their file name. And we can use that now to retrieve the files. So we have that here, which is actually equal to the array list of files here. So it works well. So let's test it now. Let's see what happens. So uploading images. Test images uploaded. So let's run this now and see what happens. It's actually taking longer than I expected. Let's see, let's just wait a little. Okay, so finally the 4 files have been uploaded, and if you come down here, you can see successfully uploaded post. The description is images upload, category politics fashion, ID of the post. We have the title of the post, and down here you see we have the images. So the images now contain a list of the file name. So we can use this file name .jpg, png. We can use them to retrieve the images from the database. So I'm gonna do that. I'll show you how to do that. I think I did already in the previous video. Okay. Alright, so we're in the right track. Now I have the images. Let me come and show you how it looks like here in the database. So in the database, you can see all the posts we've made, and testing images. You can see we only have 2 images, but there's one we did now, uploading images. Okay, this is it here. You can see now we have 1, 2, 4 images here. And these 4 images have the file name attached to it. So with this file name now, we can retrieve the file from the database, and that's one way forward now. Okay, so now we have only 4 objects in here. So now we've seen how to actually get the images from the request or the user. So the user can select multiple images, and all we have to do is just get the images, loop through it, get the file name, and push it down to the post body. Okay, so now this is the JSON response, and everything works well. Let me put a dot here and see what happens. I don't want this body. Okay, let's just leave it the way it was. Okay. So now the upload post, I'm going to do the retrieving post and viewing post. So let's remove this post here and just use a dot. You'll see what will happen right now. That's just to so that all everything will be in the same line. So think it's crashing. So it's crashing. So okay, it works now. So it's successful, and what we're seeing here, we're getting a long list of data from MongoDB, which is not what we want. All we want is this one that contains the doc. Yeah, this is all we want. So we're gonna get it out of here. So let me show you how I'm gonna get that now. So in here, I'm gonna say post.doc doc that automatically returns what we need. Okay. So in here, it's successful, and you can see we have now have everything in the same line. We have description, we have category, we have everything in the same line now. All right, so we are moving way fast and forward enough. So I hope you all are following. And if you're not, just feel free to let me know.
So now with all that being said and done, we're back here again, and scroll down a bit. This is what we've done so far. So now I want to create another route. That route is going to be, let me just run the npm start again here down here. So npm start. It's going to take a while, but it's going to be done soon. All right, so connected to MongoDB. So my npm is up now, and I see the port here, port 9000. Back to my postman, I can upload a post, and whatever I want to do, I can do it there with that port. But for now, I want to get a post. Let's see. So let's just use the get request and get all the posts. But they tell us post route triggered. But this is not what we want. What we want here is all the posts in the database should be shown to the user. So that's what we want to do here now. So in order to get all the posts from the database, all we have to do is we're going to create a variable let post equal to, we're going to use the await keyword, and then we're going to say new post. Remember, we imported that post up there. We imported it from the post schema I'm talking about. You're going to post and you're finding the post by ID. For now, let's just use find. This function would have to be asynchronous. Alright. So now, at least we can get all the posts from the database with just that line. I'm going to show you how to query the database with time a little bit from now. So now we have all the posts by saying post.find. So we're gonna, when we find the post, all we want to do is attach it to the response. That's the JSON response. So when we find the post, we're gonna attach it to the JSON response and display to the user that we got a post from the database. So now we're gonna write here. Let's leave it. Okay, should we clean this out? Let's just make a post here, and in here we're going to return all the posts that we get from the database. So that is it. So I think with that now we can just test this endpoint of retrieving all the posts. It's gonna work because that's just the basic. But there should still be a message up here. And the message here should tell the user successfully retrieved your post. Okay. we find the post and then we display to the user. So that's basically just the basics of it. Now I'm gonna show you how to query the post in the database. Okay, so now the post is what we have here. And then if there's an error, we thought there's an error. Alright, so now let's trigger this, hit the endpoint again, the end post man. You see, it gives us all the posts in the database. Every single post in the database, we can now see it. So when you upload a post, the post added to this list, starting from the database. You see all the post, message, success, and you can see the array list of posts here. That is it. Yeah. Okay, so we're on the right track and everything seems to be going fine. But let's assume you want to query this post. You want to get only all the posts with category fashion. You want to get only all the posts with category gadget, so I only want to get only the funny posts. So let me show you how to query this. I'll show you in a minute here. So in order to query this post, all we have to do is let's query string here. Query string be equal to request dot query dot category. So you want to query, you want to get the query. This is how you get the query from the endpoint. So this endpoint is going to have a query with a name category. So whenever the endpoint is triggered, we're going to check and get the category query from the endpoint, and we're going to assign it to the query string. So we're going to use this query string in order to filter the post from the database, and we're going to check all the categories in the post. Inside the array list, if we find any category in the array list that's similar to the query string, we're going to bring out that post. So for all in the category field, inside it, we'll say inside the category field, if we find anything similar to the query string, we're going to say in query, we find anything similar to the query string, we're going to bring out that post. So category in, and we pass in the query string here. Yeah, so we pass in the query string. Okay, so now that means that for it to bring out every post, if there's a query, it's gonna bring out every post that has the query inside the category array list. So this is just a simple query command in MongoDB. I'm gonna check the category field. So inside the category field, inside it, if we have anything in the category field that's in the array similar to query string, bring it out. As this category here. See this category here. If we have anything inside this array that is similar to whatever we're gonna query, we bring it out. This is how to query the post. The more you use it, the more you get to understand it. Okay. So that's it. So we get the query from the request. This is how you get a query from the endpoint. And I'm going to show you how we're going to use the query in Postman. So that's it for now. Query. Just call the query on the request and get it. Okay. So in Postman, we're going to say if, let's put the query now. And I hope you guys know how to put the query in Postman. All you have to do is put the question mark and then assign it the same name with the whatever we're getting. It has to be exactly the same name category, exactly. So we're going to say the question mark followed by the category. And we're going to use the equal to sign and then assign the category a value. So we're going to say this category here is equal to, for now, let's use fashion. So let's get all the posts related to fashion. You see, it brings out all the posts that we have fashion in it. So you see the category here, we have politics, we have fashion. So it brings out the post because there is fashion. All the posts I think gonna have fashion. All the posts that have come out gonna have fashion in it. All right, so we're gonna try something else very soon. We're gonna try something else very soon. So this one too has a fashion. So all of them have fashion in it. So it brings out all the posts with fashion. This one has other stocks like business. It still has fashion in it. So far as there is fashion, it's gonna be okay. Let's try business now. We're gonna change it to business. It's gonna bring out all the posts with business. You see that? It brings out all the posts with just business and there are only 2 posts with that. So all the posts is here, they have a business, they have as part of their tags. That works perfectly too. So see down here we have business. That's just it. So that's wonderful. You can see it works perfectly fine, and that's how to query a list of items in the MongoDB database. But for now, if we do this, we remove all in no post because we have not put any query. So now, a situation where we do not put any query, what we want is if there is no query, just bring out all the posts from the database. So that's the logic we have to work on here because we have to make sure that if there is no query, so say if query, yes, we're going to check now if it is null. If there is no query, you're gonna bring out all the posts in database. But if there is a query, let's say if there's a query string, then what we have to do is bring out all the posts with that query string. Okay, so I'm gonna copy all of this. Now let me copy from here. I'm gonna copy this into the if statement and then put it inside here. Okay, then else this post like this. I'm gonna take the post up here so that we can access it anywhere in this route. Okay, so initially the post is just gonna be there, gonna be null. So now we're gonna assign it here, post. Okay, so that's it. Initially it's gonna be null, so there is no post. Okay, so now that's if there's a query string. Now assuming there is no query string, what are we gonna do? There's no query string. What we'll do, there's no query string, bring out all the posts in the database. So if there is no query string, else bring out all the posts in the database. We're gonna say await post.find. As if there's no query string, bring out all the posts in the database. That is cool now. This will work. It's showing me a red dot here. Why is that showing me red? Okay, okay, so if there is no query string, bring out the post in the database. So let's go back to Postman. Then we're gonna run this now. You see, it's gonna bring out all the posts because there is no query string. So you see, it brings out all the posts in the database, and that is amazing. It does not actually care about the category of the post. All you know is that it's gonna bring out all the posts from the database. So that works perfectly fine to see. And let's add a query string. Let's say we want to bring out all the posts with category. We're gonna say category business. It only brings out 2 posts. Just 2 posts. So it's just only 1 post that has this category tag of business. See, only brings out one of the posts. So now what if we want to bring out the latest post? let me say we want all the latest posts. We're gonna write a logic for that. Okay. So there are only two posts with business, yeah. Okay. So now what do we want to get all the latest posts out of the database? So we're also going to create another query string. Going to say let query latest. So that's going to be equal to request dot query dot latest. Okay. It's going to get all the latest string out of the database, and we're going to say else if there is a query string latest. We're going to say query latest. If there's a query string latest, what we're going to do is I'm going to use this to actually, is either going to be true or false. So if it is true, then we're going to use it to bring out all the latest posts from the database. So we're going to sort it, and then we're going to limit. This is just want 7 posts that had a limit to it. So to sort it, I'm going to add a limit to it. So to sort it, we're going to say bring out all the latest posts. All we have to do is just created art. We're going to work on the created art. Then we can assign it to -1. -1 meaning okay, the latest post. Yeah, -1. Okay. So this way now, if there is a query string for the latest, we're gonna bring out the latest 7 posts, limiting it to 7, and then that's the logic for that here. Query string latest, yeah. So coming down here, let's just change this to latest and then assign it to true. So it's gonna return all the latest posts. So that's it now. So we have the latest post to see. So else, imagine you don't have the query string, you don't have the query letters, they're all null. We're going to just bring out all the posts from the database. So I'll wait post.find. We're going to bring all the posts from the database. That works well. Okay. So we're in the right track now, and so this is just a simple logic for the post, how we're going to work with it, and how we're going to query, and how we're going to build latest post and all of it. So now we're almost done with this route, but we're not totally done, but we're almost. Okay, that's it. So I hope you understand the logic. Just pass the category and then check if the category has the query string inside the array list. If it does have the query string inside the array list, bring out the post. Get or else if the query latest is available, bring out the latest post. Else just bring out all the posts in the database. So for this case now, that let's get this out and then let's send it. You're gonna bring out all the posts from the database. Get all the posts from the database. You see, this technology is the first post. Yeah, this is technology. This is the first post here. We send it again. This is technology headline. See, the first post is about the technology headline with the title technology in the world. But if we now say, let's bring out the latest post, we now set it to true, it's going to bring out the latest post, which is images uploaded. This was the latest post we did because the latest is true. So that is just it. It's not that complicated, It's easy. You just need more of the practice time with it. So let's bring out all the posts again. If you go down, let's say these are the last posts, testing. Let's send it again. This is technology headline. Then if you want to use a category latest true, images upload is the latest post. It brings out the 7 latest posts here. The 7 latest posts. So that's just it, and that's the logic we are using in here. So with this now you can query the database with ease. You can go browse more about the documentation of MongoDB and see how it all works. So we're gonna continue from there. I think there's one more route that is remaining and we're done. There's some little few things to do. Ready? Okay, so now we're done with the major route. We have the get all post route, we have the upload and all of that. What is remaining for us is to find a single post. You see, we want to find an individual post by ID. So to find a post, all we just need is the ID of the post. We just need the ID, and then with the ID we can actually bring out the post from the database. So I'm gonna say the route it's gonna be a get request because we want to retrieve something from the database. So I'm gonna get, and then I'm gonna get using the ID of the post. So this is a parameter here we are passing, not a query, different from the query that we used last time. This is how you pass in a parameter to a route, and we're gonna pass in a callback function which is asynchronous. So we're gonna say request, and then we're gonna say response. Then we're gonna say how to get a post. All we just have to do is get the ID of the post from the parameter. This is how we get a parameter from a route. All we have to say is the request.params.id, which have to be exactly the name ID here because we used ID. So the parameter here is going to be ID then. With that now we can find the post from MongoDB by using the ID we just got. So I'm going to say to get a post, I'm going to call the await.post, and then we're saying posts.find by ID. And we're going to pass in the ID. So let's get this as post.find by ID by ID. So now we're going to pass in the ID which we got up there. I'll just open the brackets, put in the ID. So now we just retrieved a single post from the database. So we're going to send a response down to the user with the status here, 200, and we're going to send the response. And then it's going to be a JSON format. It is going to be a JSON containing information that the user would know, okay, my post was gotten successfully. So all we just have to pass in here is the post. All right. So we just pass in the ID in the parameter, and then we retrieve the ID here. Let's try. So we're gonna say find, but let's get an ID here from one of the posts we got. Let's just copy the ID, and then we're gonna use the ID here. Okay, I think there's an error here telling me cannot. Oh, we just got an error 404 not found. Why is this happening? Let me check here. What didn't I do right? Oh, I used a request. So change it to respond res. Yeah, we change this to respond. Remember, I think we were sending down a response. Let's not use a request. Yeah.
Okay, so RES, remember to use the response. I used the request by mistake. I'm supposed to use the response. Okay, yeah, I think my internet went out. Let me connect back to my internet. Okay, so I'm gonna save my work and I'm gonna try one more time. Remember to use the RES, not RQ. Okay, so we're gonna try one more time. Let's try again. So first of all, it's still telling me the same thing. Okay, let's get all the posts again. Gonna get all the posts, error retrieving posts. Oh, there's an error retrieving post, internal server error. Okay, let's resolve. Okay, let's find a way to get these errors out of our way because I think these errors are coming up too much. So, what is causing these things? Error. Could it be? Let me just print out the error message here so that we can see the error ourselves. Okay. Let me connect again. My internet. I don't know. My internet keeps shaking. My internet connection is not strong enough. Okay. I'm gonna connect here. Let's see. Okay, I got all the posts. Now let's get the ID. I'm gonna copy the ID and then I'm gonna say find by ID. Paste the ID. Okay, it's telling me the same thing. Why can't I get a single post? Find. I think that means route gates. Find ID. We get the ID here and we find the post. Let's try again. Let's get all the posts and then try to retrieve a single post. So, okay, I got all the posts. Let me copy the ID from one. Copy the ID and I'm gonna paste it in here. Find by ID. Okay, it works now. But the problem is returning to us a long object, a big, a lot of information we do not need. It's returning a lot of information we do not need. So let's just get this doc here. We just want this doc here. So I'm gonna say dot doc doc, and that works. Okay, so I think now we got what we wanted. Everything works fine. Let's test it again one more time. Let's test it again one more time. So let's go. Okay, so it retrieves a single post now. So now we can retrieve a single post by just using the ID for the post. So that is it now, and everything seems to work fine. I think we are done with our route. So one thing we need to do is authentication and authorization using the token, That's the next thing we need to really work on. So we're done with our route, and these are all the routes for post, and everything works fine. We've tested all of this. We've tested every single thing here. We know they're working. So now we need to go, the next series of the video, we're going to do something amazing. We're going to make sure that, okay, it's only a user that is logged in that can upload a post. You have to be logged in to see a post. You have to also be an admin in order to upload a post. So maybe only the admin can upload a post. So I'm going to show you how to do authentication. I'm going to show you how to do authorization with
JSON web tokens in Node.js. So stay tuned for the next video because it's gonna be amazing. And we are almost done with this. I'm gonna start communicating with Flutter very soon. So subscribe. Thank you. That's it for you guys. So see you guys in the next video.